fingers that the rains are good. Well, of course, not in excess, for purposes of us, or the farmers realizing the benefits of their planting. And I mean, that certainly would mean that it cuts across the country, because one of the problems that we've had today is the question of drought that is extensive. And as they would say, in 40 years, we have not experienced such drought. So when we see these rains, we indeed say that the heavens have not forgotten us, and we thank God for that. So make sure that you keep warm, make sure that you're careful on the road as you run your day-to-day activities. And so welcome on board. It's good to have you. My name is Linda Alela, and this is Morning Cafe right here on TV 47. And as we have you, it's also good to have you interact with us. And so the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV 47 KE across all our social media platforms. That's how we get to interact. We weigh in on the subjects of the day, and we'll be having great conversations. We take a look at what the country expects amid this that Azimio would call Date with a Destiny. And as well, we'll be crossing, across the different parts of the world as well, just to see what is happening. And a couple of other matters that are playing out, we weigh in on the same. We'll be having, a member of parliament as well. We'll be having Professor Fred Ogola, as well as Member of County Assembly of Nyeri, that is Honorable Thuku, of Chinga in Nyeri, yes, Honorable Thuku. And equally, we'll be having Peter Mushendu, who as well is a governance expert, to help us decipher on this. Also later on, we're getting into that moment of social life, which as well is very, very important. The view of the young turks, the view of the youth as to what life really is. So be with me all the way to exactly 9:30 a.m. Before we get to close it, I'll be looking at this feedback that you send us. We have the Daily Nation, we have the People Daily, as well as the Standard newspaper. Those are the papers that we look at this morning, and not much of the stories of the day, because then time is already gone. So shortly, I just get to introduce this gentleman that help us decipher on this, so that we get into candid aspects of these matters. Remember, most of the people are calling upon President William Ruto, as well as the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to soften their stance for purposes of posterity, for purposes of the nation. Just who is going to bow first, or who is going to bow at all, if there's going to be that need. And what does this conversation on the Date with Destiny really mean for the people? The president, or the presidency, so to speak, arguing that they're not going to allow for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to weigh the country into this direction, or to sway the country into this direction, as something that he has constantly done over different regimes. Just how possible will they be able to tone this down? So karibu sana, and let's briefly look at some of the key stories that are captured on the papers. We have the Daily Nation, as I have said, the Standard newspaper, as well as the People Daily. Let's start off by looking at what the Standard newspaper speaks of this morning. First story, and actually a story that finds itself across all the papers this morning, was a matter of Magazine, the night my life turned into a nightmare. We are speaking to what really triggered this case of the demise of Khan, and she says, "I didn't kill Assad." Maxine tells the court rally driver wants the court to release her on bail pending determination of murder case against her. A story captured on page 10. And as she would say, she was a victim of domestic violence, and therefore calls upon the courts to be a little bit, keen on understanding what really could have transpired, but most importantly, keen on making sure that she is not in on this matter. And it's a developing story. Therefore, we'll be having our reporters packaging some more information for us to get to understand what plays out. And 18.7 million for death in class stampede. As well, that's in the global aspect. And across the borders, we are seeing lots of cases of demonstrations, of picketing, like we're rightfully seeing right now. And even worse, the natural disasters that are playing out that cause most of these unfortunate occurrences. And so this story, as I have told, is a story I've told you, is a story that is captured on the international bit of this very paper, and it speaks about 18.7 million award to King of Schools stampede victims. Pupils aged between 9 and 12 died at Kakamega Primary School 3 years ago, and parents led by Ibrahim Kiberege sued the school on March 19, 2021. I think this is a story that we were also following up on. You must have seen that, and now finally there's this conversation as to justice being accorded. Well, justice sometimes might not appear good to other quarters, but then again, in whatever form and whatever then the courts dictate, then it is considered justice. Ban on milk powder lifted. And finally, there's a story captured on page 22 of the Standard newspaper as well. There's been this ban for quite a while, but now they say this is going to be eased for purposes of, as well, people being able to access this very important commodity. Away from it, protest pressure piles that as the clocks tick towards Monday 20th, Kenyans from all walks of life are pleading with President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga to dialogue instead of street protests. However, both leaders are talking tough. It will be interesting to see what plays out. Minority leader Opiyo Ndai says, as things stand, I don't see anything that can stop the mass action from taking off. We seem to have crossed the Rubicon and the battle lines are drawn. And according to Reverend Canon Chris Kinyanjui Kamau of NCCK, he says, we ask you to focus the nation's attention on oneness, equity, and equality. It is the essence that you take leadership in reaching out to the opposition. This a call to the president. On the other side, we have Joseph Owino, one of the protesters in Kisumu, who says, we are protesting because of the high cost of living. We cannot keep quiet when the cost of even basic commodities is going out of hand. The president himself says that we must tell my good friend Raila Odinga, enough is enough. You cannot continue to blackmail the country. Is it a question of blackmail or then a reality to some of these matters that the people of Kenya are talking about? Is this really about the Right Honorable Raila Odinga? A question of wait and see. Lokasa Yambongo strums guitar to the afterworld. Unfortunately, we lose this, musician who's really graced the music scenes for quite a long time. A story captured on page 3. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Kabuga, on the other hand, snubs DPP of a Nairobi property. That is Felician Kabuga. A story captured on page 12 of Rwanda. And we understand the cases that have been ongoing and the fact that he had property in Nairobi, where as well he was staying, and he says that he is not going to let go of that property. We'll be following up also a story that is, developing to update you some more. Now, members of parliament award themselves 10 billion more for NGCDF and NGAF. That's a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. A big win for them. Yes, a big win for members of parliament, as the kitty that they have been pushing for has been raised by 10 billion, and each constituency will get an extra allocation of between 20 million and 30 million. The proposed equitable allocation to the 47 county governments has been capped at 385.42 billion. Equally, one thing that does not rub well with the governors, and we have had this conversation where the chair of the Council of Governors, that is Anne Waiguru as well, has been trying to push Treasury to remind them that this is going to be difficult, and especially also on moments where there's the delay of disbursement of funds. 53 billion is the amount of money members of parliament are proposing should go to the NGCDF kitty. 385 billion what has been allocated to the county governments in the 2023-2024 financial year. And also, as time goes by, we're waiting to see what the reading of the budget will look like and what will be incorporated, what will not be incorporated. Remember, the government is keen on reducing expenditure such that they're able to balance and as well meet so much so the needs that will be dictated by the budget. Pain in pockets as dollar woes hit households. A story captured on page 6. Weakening of shilling against greenback is not just affecting big businesses. It is as well raiding consumers' wallets, while scarcity of quality brands is forcing the people of Kenya to go for cheaper substitutes. A story captured on page 6, and we're talking about effects on homes and businesses in that. The high cost of living that traders have raised prices of goods, citing rising import bills. And on the question of shortages, importers are shunning costly brands, forcing buyers to take cheaper substitutes. And a lifestyle, households are having to forego items considered as luxury as living costs soar. And lastly, what is there to take home? High cost, shrinking profit margins for the very same traders. It's not really good. And perhaps that's what most of the protesters then would say is the reason that takes them to the streets. How 600 million telcos debt threatened 2022 election. Remember, we're in the process of unpacking the IEBC report as pertaining to the election. Yesterday, we were looking at the allegations, or perhaps the information that was released on the loss of very important election material. And we asked, could that have informed some aspect of compromising the process of the election? And this report today speaks of a standoff between the government and the telecommunication companies over 600 million debt nearly disrupted the presidential election results transmission last year, which would have plunged the country into a constitutional crisis. And now that this has been established, what is being done to evade the same in the near future? Roughly the People Daily as well we have this morning. But I would love to know whether Mr. Director can loop in the gentlemen that are with me this morning. But meanwhile, Ruto to Raila, yes, talk to police on demos as well. That's a conversation that we'll be having, perhaps the biggest conversation of the day, as we await to see what plays out on Monday. And winners and losers as shillings touches 130 to 140 on dollar. Also, members of parliament up in arms over same-sex ties. This also is a conversation that has been there quite a while now, as again, members of parliament increase the CDF kitty by about 10 billion ahead of the next budget reading, and we'll be looking at that. The member of County Assembly of Chinga is here with us. I know would not be smiling in as much as the members of parliament are getting themselves what it is that they're getting. The question is, what is there for the members of the County Assembly? As they say, they are closer home, they're closer to the people, and it would be important for them to have a kitty so that they are as well in a position to handle the activities that is at the level of the wards. Karibuni sana, gentlemen. Thank you so much for creating time. Allow me to start with you, Peter Mushendu. Thank you so much for creating time to be with us this morning. Peter Mushendu is a governance expert. It's a pleasure to have you as we get into discussing matters that revolve around the interest of the people of Kenya. Honorable Member of County Assembly, Chinga Ward, all the way from Nyeri County. Asante sana for creating time. Honorable Kiruga Duku, the members of parliament have successfully managed to top their kitty. We can only hope that so much is being done as to your request as members of county assemblies to get extra or get something for purposes of running the activities there. We'll be coming to that. Professor Fred Ogola, governance and political expert. Thank you so much for creating time to be with us, Professor. Professor, I will always ask whether he is on course as to the collection of signatures on the question of, us getting, to change or to amend the constitution. But even before that, Professor is a good friend of Stan Alusiola. Stan Alusiola Wakili is one of the figures that comes here, graces this set to articulate on matters that pertain to, what plays out in the country. So I was looking at the papers this morning, perusing, and as well this report reaching my editorial desk yesterday, that you understand what Stan Alusiola has been advocating for, away from the amendment of the constitution, is on the sugar packaging and generally supermarkets packaging, commodities in the with their packages. And of course he says this is something that should not be encouraged. It looks like there's some bit of a light at the end of the tunnel.
Linda, It is repackaging.
Repackaging, actually,
yes, actually,
not packaging.
Stana Luciola is one of the leaders. Actually, the Secretary General Operation in Gatuzi. We have several initiatives to fight for society. We have, like example, some cases of employees in Nakuru.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about them here because they're in court, but we were supposed to be in Kakamega. The only thing is that it just happens that logistically we saw that let's first of all hear what the submissions are, because before the other person responds, is not easy. We could have called a press conference, but we shall be in Kakamega soon to tell farmers you are not suffering because of the fact that you are not doing well in the farms. But somebody is repackaging sugar, is repackaging rice, is repackaging all grains, and therefore you have nowhere to sell. And the shelf space is the most important asset when it comes to trade. So if all shelf space are taken by importers, traders, and brokers, you have nowhere to sell, and therefore that's why you cannot make money from your income. And actually their grains are rotting somewhere. Yeah, that's why we are saying we are fighting for the society. You know, Linda, you must have something that you feel nice. When I go to bed, and I see people sleeping hungry, yet they have something they can trade, and somebody has shelf space and controls it. And that's the reason why they are going hungry. And for us here, we are just trying to say that these things are normal. Let Kenyans fight. They know what they're doing. That is not fair. So we are going to fight for every little thing that is affecting society. Actually, the Operation Gatuzi is not just about amending the Constitution, but also to tell you we are very happy we have reached 4.5 million signatures. And Linda, we want to take to IBC minimum 7.5 million signatures. That day, Nairobi will be in the standstill, not for demonstration, but the joy of this work. People have put in their effort. I'm telling you, doctors are pushing our online registration forms. People call me, they come where I am, they pick 50 forms, they fill, they bring back. I can tell you that the president will realize that the people who have signed to amend the constitution are more than the people who voted him into office. He will also discover that for them to be voted this 7 million or 6.9 million, 46 billion shillings was spent. But this is Wananchi wanting this so much that I'm just sponsoring, or we are just having a little money for logistics, but we are not spending as much money as was spent during the election. To get 7.5 million signatures, Linda, is not a mean thing. But you see, doctors, all doctors join us, all are health workers, all health workers fraternity. I'm also seeing a lot of civil society also joining us. And Linda, also let me add here that Operation Gatuzi has been invited to America to help the US-Kenya trade negotiation. And the issue of repackaging is also coming in, because we are putting clearly that when Kenya and the US are negotiating trade, there will be grains that will come from the US. There will be some food items. They should not be repackaged in Kenya. If you import them, indicate there that this is this grain. So that a Kenyan can say, am I buying Kenya to build Kenya, or I'll buy from the US? If you go to a shop and see sugar is selling at 150 shillings per kg, is a Kenyan sugar. The other one is selling at 120 kg, but it's a foreign sugar. Some people will be ethical consumers who will want to build their country, and let that be very clearly labeled. We want that things to be very transparent, because we cannot do trade which is meant under the table, because we are killing our own industry. Yes, I mean, we have to appreciate your contribution on speaking as to matters that affect the people, and progressively for that matter. We can only hope that indeed some of these then are accepted. Those ones that are not accepted will as well respect that there has to be a valid reason to that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for creating time. We have a story that pertains to, the date with destiny, if you may want to call it that. Allow us to take this story, gentlemen, so that we come and speak to it, because as we are here, we evidently are a little bit worried. And by the way, the rains, at least the rains we have witnessed, so we need to appreciate and say, you know what, fine. Why are you laughing? Because the prayers have worked?
Of course they have.
They have worked?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is it?
Actually, I saw something very interesting in one of the media houses where someone was saying that this was a Kenya Kwanza rain. Actually, the thing is that some people can be very, let's say very myopic by saying this is a Kenya Kwanza rainfall and they won't plant. So me, I'm urging all Kenyans, this is a rain that's brought by God. Whether Kenya Kwanza prayed or anyone prayed, please plant. Don't demonstrate against the rainfall, because hunger will not know Kenya Kwanza, hunger will not know about Azimio. Let us not be divisive that even we divide rainfall, this is Kenya Kwanza, this is Kenya Kwanza region. Let everyone thank God the rain has come. You know, no matter you prayed, you didn't pray, who prayed, who didn't pray, rainfall has come. We thank God for it, take advantage of it and do something with it. And
I hope it's going to be plenty. I don't know why Mushendu is so calm this morning, but first, President William Ruto has told Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga that he will be held personally liable for any loss of life or destruction of property during Monday's Azimio's protest. A tough-speaking President Ruto told Odinga to liaise with the police on Monday's protest and what he termed as blackmail and impunity, while allaying Kenyans' fears over the demos, saying the government is in charge. Apollo Kamau reports.
Wachunge mali.
In a no-holds-barred speech that deconstructed Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga ahead of Azimio's Monday's planned mass action, President William Ruto read the Riot Act to Odinga, saying though he has no problem with the protest, Odinga will be held personally responsible for any loss of life or destruction of property, directing him to the police on his claim the protest march will be peaceful.
Mimi sina shida kama rais apange mambo ya maandamano ya amani, lakini mimi nataka nimpatie ushauri. Aketi chini na polisi, wakubaliane hiyo maandamano itakuwa ya amani kwa njia gani. Asije akaharibu mali ya watu, asije akaharibu amani Kenya, asije akamwaga damu tena vile amezoea, kwa sababu we are shortly going to tell him enough is enough.
A tough-speaking President Ruto also hit out at Odinga for acting with impunity and blackmailing Kenyans, saying the country is governed by the rule of law and no one is above the law. The president allaying Kenyan fears that no life will be lost.
That you have your own set of laws that you enforce through ultimatums, demonstrations, that you enforce by force and blackmail, using chaos and violence. It cannot be the case.
Azimio has stoked fears on the return of ICC cases, daring the government to use police to quell the demos in what they claim will be a march to State House.
Leo unatuambia ati utapanga maandamano ya amani. Tunangojea hii maandamano ya amani tuone kutoka kwa huyu jamaa ambaye hajawahi kupanga hata siku moja maandamano ya amani.
President Ruto's allies have termed Azimio's march to State House as a coup that should not be allowed in a country governed by the rule of law. This as Odinga's allies maintained the march to State House is on with their families.
It is a state house protected by the military. In fact, the police officers will let the military do their work. So as you picket, stop imagining that you can pull an elected president. And that will be a coup, by the way. And coups are very dangerous. You know, like you want to overthrow a legally elected government.
Azimio heads to Nakuru on Thursday, Kiambu on Friday, in what insiders say is a build-up to Big Monday. Apul Kamau, TV47.
I doubt there is a way, gentlemen, we can start this conversation, you know, from any other angle or from any other story, apart from, I don't know whether it's much anticipated. much is quite some history in this Kenya. You know, we're always talking about the much publicized, yes, March 9th. Wait a minute, much publicized March 9th handshake that got us to this level. So we're talking about the much publicized as well, March 20th. You know, March. Because they say nothing will stop the march. Let's go to that person who's been quite silent this morning. I don't know what informs that, but I know he's just building up and piling up, you know, forms of defense. And the president speaks tough to the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and equally the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is adamant that this is going to take center stage. The minority leader goes ahead to say that he does not see anything that is going to stop the mass action that is slated for Monday. What is a fact is that, forget about Monday, these activities are ongoing in the country. You must have witnessed what happened yesterday. Really, in as much as it might seem so minimal or so small a matter, it's not what we want to go through. What do you make of this, especially when now the men of this country say, you know what, enough is enough. Let us call these two gentlemen to perhaps have a conversation, not a handshake, whatever conversation.
You know, I've said it here and I will repeat it again. On the 9th of August, in the year 2022, Kenyans woke up, they went to the ballot, casted their votes, they were tallied, and eventually the presidential agent, who was the chairman of IEBC, declared a winner. The people who lost felt aggrieved, and they rushed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court addressed itself on this matter and upholded the decision by the IEBC. And that is as far as what our constitution, the one that we gave ourselves around 11, 12 years ago says. That is the procedure we have given to ourselves on resolving the election issues. We went through it, and William Ruto, legally and constitutionally in accordance with the most supreme document of this republic, is the president of the republic. And therefore, the idea of going to the streets to demonstrate against the legitimacy of the president, it is not founded anywhere in our laws.
Peter Moshendu, that is one of the grievances, so that is one.
So what I am saying is this, I agree. We do not want people who want to cause demonstrations and wreak havoc on people's businesses in this city.
Why do you assume that is
I'm not assuming, I'm being informed by...
But they have said, you have had the right of
Rinda,
saying that it will be a peaceful one.
Rinda, this is the same Raila Odinga who claimed that the 1997 maandamano will be peaceful. He's the same guy who claimed that in the year 2007 it will be peaceful. I mean, history informs us there is nothing peaceful about Raila Odinga. Unless you have a different history that I am not aware of. The history I have, and the history whoever is in charge of your archives have, it is demonstration that have caused havoc on people's business.
Do you think we have a country, a presidency, and a government that is capable of protecting its people?
Yes, I believe.
So why should we worry?
I'm not worried. I mean, that is a perception of for the state. It is not my perception as
right. Joseph Owino.
Yes.
Joseph Owino says that we are protesting because of the high cost of living. We cannot keep quiet when the cost of even basic commodities is going out of hand. So forget about the Raila interest.
Would we be right to tell Raila Odinga awache kubweka? Because when we talked about the cost of living during the election, the Honorable Raila Odinga in Mombasa said those who are talking about the high cost of living, ni kubweka wanabweka. And this is my solution. There is no way the government of William Ruto is going to embrace any handshake that is being forced through this maandamano.
And I will repeat.
I am calling on the president to use the full instruments of law.
What is that?
Yes, the full instruments of law to keep Nairobi peaceful, to keep people's business safe, and all the thugs that are planning to be part of that maandamano, which has been the case every time Raila Odinga is on the street.
I will repeat.
You have businesses that have been devastated, businesses that have been vandalized, and therefore we are calling on William Ruto. We cannot have a guy who is trying to untwist the fourth president in his history. He has untwisted Moi into joining Kano and sending the former Kano bigwigs out of Kano. He has Kibaki, who he twisted into joining the government. And he has Uhuru Kenyatta, who he twisted to pay for his activity for the last 4 years.
Uhuru who reached out.
And therefore, William Ruto must stop this perennial peace, havoc, a wrecker of the peace of this country.
I will repeat. I will repeat,
Yes.
and I'll say some of these things, well, while genuine, could also be misplaced. I said it is Joseph Owino who said this, says that they will go to the streets for this obvious reason, and many other Kenyans.
But why
we take a short break. We take a short break, and then
because they have to tell us why they were not saying this before Raila Odinga inside.
Oh,
after this
kubweka.
break. After this.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. This is Dr. Frankie tonight. And of course, on to our first guest of the night. An amazing actress, an award-winning actress, one of the top influencers right now, a top brand ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, and a lady who I respected, of course. I'm proud to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ listening, are you ready for something there?
Yes.
You ready, yeah?
Yes.
Give me something, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kate Kamau, aka Kate, actress. How much material
It's a
is this?
lot. It's a lot. I mean, I'm a lot.
Does it give like, is it like normal time to wear like 10 minutes?
Asha.
Ama like lazima uipangie.
Hii lazima shida ni kwenda kwa choo hiyo tu.
I wanna.
Yeah.
But they come to think of it, madam of a jumpsuit. How do you guys go to the washroom? How do you guys deal with that
That's
whole
why we
thing?
go in pairs to the bathroom.
No, men, you'll never find men going to the washroom in pairs. Anyway, Richie ni aje. Nasikia kusojo, hebu tuishie. I think ladies are so privileged. You guys can even call each other boom, babe, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Imagine now I'm now calling Richie. Richie babe, ni aje. Unakamjobosa ngapi na saxophone?
But we are okay with that.
Never.
Yeah.
Kate, welcome on the show. You are our first guest ever. Piga makofi. Pia tuko na interior design round hii.
Try. Ini wajakoya ama.
Check, relax. Usiseme na nguvu, we. Nakada wana watch, nakada.
Ni sponsors.
Let me ask, have you ever tried?
No, what is that?
Eh?
No.
Haujawahi? Under by mistake.
But now I know it because of wajakoya.
Oh, really? So hujaipita kwa campaign ya wajakoya by mistake ukaisikia? Have you ever tried drugs at any point?
Which one?
You're a clean,
I'm a
good
role
girl.
model.
Role model. Sawa, kwame. I don't know. Listen, do we have enough role models in the industry anymore? Or because I've seen these days, people do their own things. They mess up on social media. Then they come and say, listen, I was not born to be a role model. I'm living my own life. Do you think that is the correct way to...
All right, welcome back to the broadcast in studio. Peter Moshendu, Kiruga Dhuku, as well as Fred Ogola. And so we are Dates with Destiny.
Okay. Linda, allow me first. Personally, I'm a product of the people, so I want to greet the people who have elected me.
Important.
Yes, very important. And also, allow me to thank all those people, because we have not met since then. Allow me to thank all those who came for my Thanksgiving. We missed you there.
Benji Dolo represented me. He must have told you I sent my gift.
Yeah,
Mheshimiwa ni kama hata alikuwa ananialika tu kienyeji. Unajua hata mtu wa follow up hata akwambia.
No, I reminded you.
Mheshimiwa,
I want to thank my governor, Governor Mutahi Kahiga, the governor of Laikipia. They came, Honorable Kagombe, Honorable Mount Kenya, Honorable Muleu, and Honorable Sabina Chege, Honorable Kanini Kega, and there were over 50 MCAs who graced the occasion, and everyone who came. Thank you very much. Now, Linda, here we are with this big story. And we find ourselves in familiar waters, undergoing blackmail, yet again as a country, from a leader who never accepts defeat, from leaders who don't want to accept defeat. And I told you here, Linda, and you have been trying to put me off every time I say this.
Is it me?
Yeah, you. Because I told you, and I want to come to the current scenario. Look, Honorable Raila Odinga have had his child given work out of the country in Arusha. Someone like Honorable Mother Karua is someone who does, I don't think she has children going to school. Now, they are calling for a demonstration when other people's children are going back to school with total abandon to what will happen. And I want to agree with what Professor Lumumba said. Professor Lumumba is a renowned scholar in this country. What is being called for on Monday is nothing like mass action. It is
Anarchy.
chaos and anarchy, right? And you saw what happened in Kisumu, right? You know, you are saying, I don't know, someone is saying, we are demonstrating because the price of Runga has gone high, I don't know what. But the issue is this. We had still these issues, even within the Jubilee, when Raila Odinga joined President Uhuru Kenyatta in the Jubilee administration. Why were these people not demonstrating? People are demonstrating because they have been incited to do so. And I want to identify myself with the sentiments of His Excellency the President, that what is happening and what these opposition leaders are doing, they are abusing the collective wisdom of Kenyans, imagining we don't know them. We've not just been born into this country. They've not just descended to this country.
Let
we
me read
know
this message.
what they are trying to do, Linda, is that they are trying to overthrow the government of President William Ruto. And truth be told, that is what they are trying. Yes, things are tough.
Let me read this message for you by Kai Chomo,
Yes.
who says, we appreciate PLO, we appreciate the gentleman on set this morning, but Kenyans need to understand, and Mheshimiwa needs to understand, that PLO perhaps might not even feel the pinch of the high cost of living, that you might not feel the pinch of the high cost of living, and therefore it would not make sense for you when Kenyans are saying we are going to the streets because of the high cost of living. Kenyans are suffering. This is what they're saying. And I will as well challenge you on this again, that yes, fine, it is the right Honorable Raila Odinga who's going to the streets. Winnie is not somewhere in the streets. Maybe Raila Jr. is nowhere on the streets. Rosemary is nowhere on the streets. Kennedy Kalonzo probably nowhere on the streets. But equally, it has to be acknowledged that these are grown-ups and they are capable of making their decisions. And even those ones that follow the right Honorable Raila Odinga to the streets, if they will, are grown-ups, perhaps do not need any level of coercion.
Look here, Linda. Nobody has a problem. In fact, if it was just about food and the high cost of living, some of us might even have decided to join in peacefully saying the prices are high or something like that. But there is nothing like that. These people have been talking about a stolen election. These people have declared Monday as a public holiday.
Yes.
Where have they gotten that power? Where have they gotten that power? We have... No, relax, Professor.
Social license to
no, relax. You'll get your chance. You'll get your chance and you'll prosecute your case. The issue is this. These guys are proving to be masters of impunity. We have laws in this country. All of us, except maybe these oppositionists, are subject to these laws, to these laws and rules that govern our country. You see, it cannot be a free-for-all where you wake up, you do what you want. No. Even the president is saying, I myself am the president of Kenya, but I'm subject to the laws of Kenya. These people have been saying, someone, somewhere, whom we have not been told whom it is, told them the election was stolen. Yet, we have our laws about how our elections are conducted. We have our laws about how to resolve these disputes if they arise. And these people disputed elections. They went to the court, the Supreme Court. I think for the first time in a very long time, the Supreme Court, there was not even one dissenting judge. All of them unanimously agreed His Excellency William Ruto won free and square.
Don't you think that was perhaps by design? I'm just asking.
There was nothing by design. But you saw, we have to subject ourselves to the rule of law.
And that we have done, and maybe that's
We
the
have
reason
not.
why people
That is
are...
why we have not. That is why some of us are declaring public holidays contrary to the rules of this republic.
Why I'm saying we have done is because we have a president legally,
Yes.
and that has to be acknowledged.
And some people have not recognized the president.
And it's within their right.
No, it is not. You see.
What do you mean?
No, you see, Linda, you know, you cannot create your own laws in your mind. You see, you want to perpetuate impunity. You don't want to follow the down procedures. I'm telling you this, Linda. This time around, in fact, I'm very much against any kind of soothing or mollycoddling. You know, you sit there to discuss. You are discussing what? You are saying William Ruto is the president of Kenya, period.
You, Professor, that we have an appointment with anarchy?
Yeah, Linda, first of all, let me say that when I listen to anybody supporting Kenya Kwanza, they have reached something called intellectual saturation, meaning that there is no more new thing they are telling us. What I'm trying to say that, Linda, let me justify my case. You know, let me get out of Kenya so that you see the objectivity here. Let's look about the...
I think, Linda, before the professor goes on,
it should be
I feel insulted by that statement.
No, let me justify.
No, Professor.
No, let me, before I justify...
I have told myself...
I would have told you to withdraw.
I have told myself I will not come to a studio, Linda, for someone to insult. If I have nothing new to say,
let me justify.
I do not see the need of being invited here.
I was
about... If he cannot apologize for that.
I was about to tell him to withdraw. I was about to tell him to withdraw. And I repeat,
to our intelligence.
Peter Moshendu, I will also not allow for you to take charge. I am in charge.
Please allow me. Yes.
I said I was about to tell him to withdraw, but then he said, let me justify.
Yes.
So upon his justification, then we will determine whether
there is nothing that can justify a person saying that is an insult.
Linda,
thinking that you are the only person with an intellectual capacity to say something new and demeaning the people in the same panelists that they are telling you something new. It is an insult to the very reason why you are invited to this.
Is it because you support the Kenya Kwanza?
It's not about support the Kenya Kwanza. What I am saying is you cannot purport to possess an intellectual capacity to be the only one in the panel to say something.
The reason why I have the three of you is because
I wish he can prosecute his case. I wish he can prosecute his case without demeaning the fact that we support Kenya Kwanza and we are in this panel and telling to the people who are listening to us we have nothing new to say.
Perhaps we'll push
an insult.
Yes.
Linda, do you know since we came here, these guys have a lot of airtime. That I'm trying to say, when you give somebody too much time with not much new thing coming in, then they're just repeating the same thing. I support this, I support that, I agree with the president. Intellectual saturation means, I'm not saying they're not intelligent, but time comes when you add not really anything new with the conversation. I won the election, servers were open, election ended on 8th of August. What is new that is coming in? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
Because there are some, even me sometimes when I'm speaking, I realize now, any point I make, I've either made it, it had been made before, so I should now stop so that someone else can talk.
Yeah.
I think that is justifiable. And not only him, even me. When, for example, I'm arguing with somebody and I discover that there is no any new argument I'm bringing to the existing arguments, why am I talking still? Reminding us the elections were there on 8th of August, is that new? Reminding us that President Ruto was sworn in, reminding us Raila went to Supreme Court. Are those not facts?
No,
is there anything new that we don't
let him not lecture us. Can he prosecute the point that you are here? You are not here to lecture us. You are not here to lecture us.
Let me prosecute my point.
Yes.
Linda, what I can describe this situation, destiny with destiny, is that it's unfortunate. What's unfortunate here? Let's get out of Kenya, first of all, for objectivity, because that's where they're going to hit at me again. Let's look at a country like China. They have elected a new president for another 5 years term. It was done for less than an hour. the president of the most powerful economy which is $20 trillion. We are talking about an economy in Kenya which is $110 billion. You understand? We have spent 46.4 billion shillings to elect this government in office. What Kenyans are getting back is we are going back to the street. So I can tell you for sure that this is not nice, because if you look at it, the biggest question you're asking, should we be spending this money and end up in this situation? Because me and you, Wanjiku, the common mwananchi on the ground, they waited for the election result to be announced for long. They waited for the Supreme Court to happen. Their lives were suspended. Kids who didn't go to school for around a week when we are still fighting over who is the next president. Now again, they are hearing that they are coming back to the streets. So I can tell you one thing, and maybe I'm the one who is objective in this is set here, that I don't agree with either of the side. The truth cannot be with Raila, and the truth cannot be with William Ruto. The truth is never in two extremes. Because when Raila goes to the street on Monday, Linda, there is my grandmother who sells maize, who sells mandazi. There's somebody who goes to the street to earn money. Like, you know, if you go to town, you find someone tell me, hey, park hivi, songa hivi, alafu nampatia mia moja. That's how that person eats. On Monday, who is taking their car to the street? So some people are going to go hungry on Monday because of maandamano. The town will be 20% operating capacity. You go to Nairobi City Council and ask them, how much will they collect in terms of parking fees? It will go down. Anybody who has a parking business in town will go down. Anybody selling food, mutumba clothes, anything you are selling in town, your sales will go down for sure. Meaning that you won't afford school fees after that. You won't afford house rent. So it's unfortunate we are here. No matter how these guys like it, you can chest your thumb as the way you want it. You can say you have power, but the fact is that it's unfortunate we are there. Now, why are we here? It's very unfortunate also that Kenya Kwanza invited this trouble to themselves. And this justification I have are the following. You know, the president has got the legal license to operate as the president rule, but he was trying to take power too much. There's something about power, that too much of it can actually hurt the person who has it. If I'm a husband at home, and I make my son, my daughter, and my wife feel that they have no power in the house, they're going to revolt against me. So when you come and take the power of the president is controlling parliament, he is controlling judiciary, he is controlling churches. Raila can't go to church, even to talk to pastors. Yes, they have been taken. Parliament, there's no winner. No,
realistically speaking.
No.
But is it not in the interest of the sitting president to get
this
kind of support?
So I'm saying, if you are wise, take enough power to keep you in power. If you take too much power, you make the other guys come to fight back. And let's use evidence. Kibaki went for his second term when literally Raila was controlling parliament. Look, the speaker was from his party. But Kibaki just took enough power to keep Raila feel he has power, and the keeping whereby someone thinks, I can win, I can lose, I can win, I can lose. That keeps people working. If you are going to play a football match and you make another team lose too early, then that's when there will be so many injuries, because now they know they have lost and they have nothing to lose. So by making the team that you are playing lose too early, even if you had all the power goes. Absolute power corrupts. And then it corrupts absolutely. At the same time, it makes people feel very uncomfortable with you. So what I'm trying to say here is that this Kenya Kwanza government was elected. They are legally in office, there's no question, but they must get the social license to operate by getting this people, like now the person saying, they are going to the most solution. If this is sorted, the government will get both the social license to work and legal license. But now that people are hurting economically, cost of living, school fees, healthcare, it has lost legitimacy because the promises they made, they have not fulfilled. Secondly, the economy is doing very bad. Now he has to get the social license to operate through talking to Raila.
Is it?
No, Lina, just let me finish.
Make it brief so that we can loop in.
In that regard, he has to find a way on how to keep Kenyans living at this high cost of living, which is selfish for both of them. Because if both of them come together, who will voice the issue of cost of living? We just talked about handshake. When Uhuru Kenyatta was there with Raila, no one will raise serious issues about the governance. And that's what happened. So them coming together is not good for Kenya.
Okay.
Them staying in this war is not good for Kenya. So me,
What is good for
I'm
Kenya?
urging the president, with great power comes great responsibility. The people of Kenya know you as their president. There's what you call head of state. Head means that the head is more powerful than other parts of the body, isn't it? So head of state, Raila is not a head of state. Let him find a solution. If they say they don't want handshake, let them give us a solution, because demonstration is bad for everybody. It's going to hurt people. Some legs can be broken tomorrow. Some life can be lost tomorrow. Property can be lost. Business can be shut down. That is my pain. And anybody listening to me, please, if you have any phone call to call the president, tell him we want him into office. Fine. We don't want this thing to continue because it's hurting Kenyans.
And you know, that's the reason why.
Let someone also call Raila and tell him. Let him also be aware that this is not the greatest thing that we wish. This is not an ideal situation. You cannot go back to the street 6 months after.
Yeah.
But also, we can say, keep quiet, even if things are bad, because it's too early to start demonstrating.
Start making noise. And here we are. Allow me to take it away from you and to Peter Mushindu. I think I started by asking you whether the presidency, the government itself, is capable of taking care of the people of Kenya. First of all, guaranteeing them that peaceful coexistence at a point of, you know, of the demonstrations, but far and beyond. As a professor would say, both extremes are bad. No handshake is bad. Yes, handshake is equally bad. And when we're saying the handshake, we don't necessarily mean that it has to be the handshake. We all understand these conversations that will go around. So what would be the ultimate plan as of today for the government to manage the situation? And one would say wisely it could be about addressing some of these matters that are being raised, cost of living. But realistically speaking as well, 6 months into it with the difficulties that they inherited the government with is equally not realistic. So how does it get to a point where this is managed for purposes of us enjoying life, peaceful coexistence, making sure that our governments or our businesses are running well? Briefly before we take a short break.
Well, it is my firm belief, and I believe that Mheshimiwa shares, fence-sitters don't offer any solution to this republic. Because we must wake up.
You must
be
on one side.
We must wake up to the reality of our politics. And the reality of our politics is that they are as polarized as they are today.
But you also need to allow the fact that...
this is what I'm saying.
It's a multi-party state.
I'm giving my opinion,
Yes.
and I think you allow me to execute.
But you're calling him a fence-sitter and he's saying he's somewhere there. You didn't mention names.
I've
Okay.
said fence-sitters and those people who want to seem to criticize every part of our politics, we must look at the history of our politics, Rinda, and ask ourselves, what kind of a politics do we run as a country? Our politics is a polarized politics. There has to be a government, there has to be an opposition. And unfortunately, that is what even our constitution recognizes. A government that is legitimately in power, and an opposition whose work
Minority.
Yes, an opposition whose work is to say the government is not doing anything. They are not doing anything outside what they are supposed to do.
Okay.
My point is this, it cannot be that every time I want to be part of something, I have to bring trouble and cause havoc so that I can be incorporated. We are actually saying that then let's suspend our constitution that provides the penal code of dealing with people who are not doing peaceful protests. They are outside in the streets to ensure that this, in fact, he is on record, and I would wish the producer would pray his words. He said, March 20th will be a mother of all protests, and Nairobi will come to a standstill. Why would Nairobi come to a standstill where people, Keruga, myself, or any other Kenyan has established a business, has paid all the necessary regulatory requirements, and is doing business? Why would he be subjected into a standstill where he cannot do business? And therefore, what we are saying, Rinda, is this. Peaceful protests are done so well elsewhere in the world. But there has never been anything peaceful about Raila protesting And I am open to somebody. Listen. I am open to somebody challenging that fact and tell me otherwise. And Professor, please keep calm. We have listened to you for 15, almost 10 minutes. Just
how about we take a short break? How about we take a short break?
No,
yeah,
let's come back.
Yeah,
but we come back. No,
and perhaps Professor needs to challenge what it is that you say.
I have no problem with Professor challenging.
Leader, if I raise my hand, I'm saying nothing. They are shouting. I'm just
we take a short break. And
why should you raise your hand?
Even if I raise my hand,
you allow the professor.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. This is Dr. Frank tonight. And of course, on to our first guest of the night. An amazing actress, an award-winning actress, one of the top influencers right now, a top brand ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, and a lady who I respect, and of course, I'm proud to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, just listening. Are you ready for something there?
Yes.
You ready, yeah?
Yes.
Give me something, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kate Kamau, a.k.a. Kate, actress. How much material
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I'm a lot.
Does it give like, is it like normal time to wear like 10 minutes?
Asha.
Ama like lazima uipangie.
Hii lazima shida ni kwenda kwa choo hiyo tu. Yeah.
But they come to think of it, madam new and madam of a jumpsuit. How do you guys go to the washroom? How do you guys deal with that
That's
whole
where
thing?
we go in pairs to the bathroom.
No, men, you'll never find men going to the washroom in pairs. Ati where Richie ni aje. Nasi ya kusojo, hebu do you see? I think ladies are so privileged. You guys can even call each other boom, babe, sweetheart. Imagine now me, I'm now calling Richie. Richie babe, ni aje. Unakamjobosa ngapi na saxophone.
But we are okay with that.
Never.
Yeah.
Kate, welcome on the show. You are our first guest ever. Piga makofi. Pia tuko na interior design round hii.
Hii ni Wajakoya ama
check relax. Usiseme na nguvu we. Nakada wana watch, nakada.
Ni sponsored.
Let me ask, have you ever tried?
No, what is that?
Eh?
No.
Haujawahi? Under by mistake.
But now I know it because of Wajakoya.
Oh really? So hujaipita kwa campaign ya Wajakoya by mistake ukaisikia? Have you ever tried drugs at any point?
Which one?
You're a clean,
I'm a role model.
Role model. Sawa kwa Listen, do we have enough role models in the industry anymore? Or because I've seen these days, people do their own things. They mess up on social media. Then they come and say, listen, I was not born to be a role model. I'm living my own life. Do you think that is the correct way to handle it?
And I think what Akothe says, I did not choose to be a role model. It's my career that inspired you to give me that title. So you cannot give me the pressure to become a role model. That's how you feel.
So
that's how you interpret my brand. But I have to live my life. I'm not telling you to live the way I live. You understand? But I know I have a responsibility as a public figure to act.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Peter Moshendu, let me read these things to you. And I know you are a friend of Dr. Ragalo, who was forwarding this to me yesterday. And perhaps to Professor here, who as well articulated to the question of Maandamano. And Mheshimiwa, and I'll not read everything. I will just read a couple of matters that he reminds us have come to the fore successfully, courtesy of Maandamano.
Yes.
And we've been here long enough to have witnessed that the repealing of Section 2A that created the multi-party democracy was courtesy of the processes of Maandamano, that Maandamano brought about the closure of Nyayo torture chambers, and Maandamano brought about liberty, freedom of speech and expression, which we enjoy today, that it brought about the end of the clueless Nyayo authoritarian rule, from what they would say. Maandamano brought about the 2010 constitution and new chapter of Kenya's political system of governance, that is devolution. That Raila Odinga's Maandamano has always been about quality leadership and citizen involvement to promote efficiency and capacity building. This is a view of someone who's watching as well. And numerous other matters. If you'd wish, I would continue reading them, but they're about 10.
Linda, we are not not strangers in the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
We know the history.
Yes, we do.
We know the people who are involved in all those my friend Ragaro is talking about.
Yes.
In terms of repealing of Section 2A, let nobody sit here
and tell you
give that credit to Raila.
And they're not saying it's Raila. They're giving all this credit to Maandamano.
Again, allow me to execute my point. I've not even executed.
Okay, proceed.
What I am saying is this. The repealing of Section 2A of the Constitution to allow multi-party democracy to come back.
Yeah.
It is a contribution of so many people,
yes.
Raila Odinga included, that you can never take away from Raila Odinga. That's a fact. The Umfugamano initiative that climaxed into the new constitution, again, it is a process that involves so many people and very big figures in this country. We know that for a fact. But look at what has been the driving force of Raila Odinga to go to the street. It has not been about those things. Those things just came about as a result of people going to the street and demanding. What we are saying is this. Even if you are to look at the recent history in this republic, why did Raila Odinga go to the street in, that is 2007? Why did he start calling for boycott of things in 1997 and Makiu in 1997? He was that in the resort, the presidential resort. So what we are saying is, if we were to go to the street and say that the cost of life, and I agree what Keruga said, if we were to go to the street and talk about the high cost of life, genuinely, that is a different subject. But we know this particular maandamano that is being driven, it is not based on any contravention of the law. It is not based on any genuine reasons. And I will keep repeating, this is the Raila Odinga when we said that there is a high cost of living last year. He said tunabweka. So what we are saying is, it is a challenge to the government of the day to see what they can do to lower the cost of living, because we will also not bury our head and say that the cost of living is at a place where every Kenya wants it to be. But it will not be solved by being dishonest about it and forming maandamano in the name of high cost of living. And indeed, it is the intended purpose to make sure that the government of William Ruto does not move, and probably the most inhuman resort would be they would want to overthrow this government of William Ruto. So we must tell them the truth. Yes, there are issues that are pertinent that must be discussed about the life of Kenya today is very high, the cost is high. But equally, we will not allow people to use that in the most dishonest mean to come and stop. I mean, if the cost of living is high, when you organize the demonstrations to bring Nairobi to a standstill, which is the capital, are you contributing into making the life of Kenyans easier, or are you complicating it?
And who is to tell the Right Honorable Raila Odinga this? The President, Rigathi Gachagua, and when Rigathi Gachagua, yes, and you're coming to
after me, we're
coming to you. Make it very brief. When you, of course, paint, like a picture of the fact that the government is equally so tough, and as the president would say, we will deal with you cacamoniously, and the deputy as well proceeds to say that. We have seen the Prime Cabinet Secretary as well addressing this. We have seen the head that is at the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, Speaker, also as well speaking to this. Who is to tell the Right Honorable Raila Odinga off? Because then this appears as though the government is being swayed into this moment of emotions. And equally then Raila is successfully managing to sway them from what they're supposed to focus on.
Nobody is being swayed. The government is not being swayed from its mandate. What this government is doing and saying is that all of us are subject to the laws of Kenya. And they have the backing of the Kenyan people in that. Let me read something from PLO Lumumba. We want to have a champion revolution where you fly in with shoppers and V8s. You eat eggs and sausages, then come to a meeting and tell people who have not eaten, let us invade State House. That is suicide. You know, Linda, truth must be said. These people calling for this maandamano, what unites them is not that they wish well for Kenyans. Their uniting strength is their collective hatred for William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza government. And this is the truth. There is nothing about the prices of unga, the high cost of living. We were here with Jubilee under President Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila Odinga was part of that government. Why was he not demonstrating at that time? The issue is, and this must be put very clearly, Linda, we are at such a juncture in history that someone has to rein in this impunity. That whenever you are defeated in an election, you cause chaos in order to be accommodated in government. You have lived your life threatening Kenyans with mass action, with chaos, with destruction of property, with looting. What the government is saying, and I support fully, talk with the police, do your maandamano. If they are peaceful protests, you can have them as long as you want. But when you start destroying people's property, like we have seen, when you start threatening people's security, threatening people's lives, the law must take precedence.
And we all agree that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the Azimio team are privy to what the law dictates, yeah? And as they purport, they're doing this in the best interest of the common mwananchi. Why would you assume that they are going to go and cause trouble? And maybe
it is about history.
Okay.
It's about history.
Okay.
We were here with the 1982 coup. Kenyans lost lives. We came, and so when President Moi reached out to this gentleman and he joined KANU, he was very comfortable. It didn't matter whether Kenyans, whichever direction Kenyans went to. We came, we had President Kibaki. This man fomented all manner of chaos. You see? We came, we had President Uhuru, right? In fact, President Uhuru did a grave mistake for finding that handshake. Because now the problems we are having today are as a result of that handshake. There is no way. With me, my stand is, all of us, if we have grievances, our constitution dictates what you should do if you have grievances.
Including protests, peaceful.
But I'm telling you this, and everyone knows,
it can never
protests or mass action coming from one Honorable Raila Odinga is nothing peaceful. There is nothing.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes.
Let's overlook this because we have kept on, revolving around the same point. Yeah. Professor, please make it very brief. As well, we all agree that we really do not want to witness that. But at the same time, we agree that, well, we do not want them to be on the same space because then who speaks for the people? And so what needs to be done in this short period to save the face of Kenya, because we're looking at us here as well as how the international community will view us. How do we save the face of Kenya? And this, of course, definitely is a task that lies in the hands of the president.
First of all, Linda, allow me to tell my friends here that PLO Lumumba is for sure a very intelligent man. And he can talk. But the point is that PLO Lumumba is very out of touch with reality. And the question is...
According to who?
No.
According to him.
He tried to run for a seat. And you could see that he was not in touch. Mheshimiwa, you won because you are so much in touch with the people's reality. That's the difference. I've run for election. And I know that the more you are out of touch with the people, even if you have money, if you have a vote, you will lose the election to even an underdog.
So you are also out of touch with reality.
I can agree to that in my area maybe, but now you can take it personal. I'm just trying to say that winning an election, I'm actually applauding you and congratulating you, but you can hit at me if you want. That you won because you are so much in touch with people's reality.
Thank you.
PLO Lumumba is an intelligent man. And in fact, Linda, in this country, we don't lack intelligent men. The question we need to ask, have they used their intelligence for the good of the people, or they have used this intelligence against the people? You can even ask the same question Raila Odinga. Raila has a lot of influence. Has he used this influence for the good of Kenyans or using it against it? The president sitting in State House has a lot of power. He has got all the responsibility. Is he going to use it for the interest of people or personal interest? These are questions we need to ask. Now, allow me to tell people that I've heard them trivializing this idea of Raila Odinga, saying that this is a Raila Odinga issue. By calling it Raila Odinga issue, we are not seeing the whole issue. Some people even trivialize it. For example, in social media, your friend Benji Ndolo went and insulted me that I'm a disgrace to the Luo community.
You're saying my friend.
No,
Okay,
this
yes,
is true.
yes,
It is on Twitter. It's there. There's evidence.
Uh-huh.
What I'm trying to say is don't trivialize these things to Raila Odinga. Don't trivialize it on tribal grounds. Let us see which questions are being asked here. What are the issues? They are national issues. And let me tell you what, Linda, Kenyans should know that we are more connected economically more than tribally. Mm-hmm. As I'm sitting here, how many Kikuyus are giving me businesses? Much more than Luos. And if I start looking for my Luo interests, I've lost touch. I go to class as a lecturer. I'm finding, you can even find, for example, only 10% Luos. Let's not trivialize this issue to Raila Odinga issue. Let us look at it in a bigger picture, and then we shall see the issue here. Let's not see Uhuru, Ruto versus Raila. Let us look at Kenya as a big picture. This should be, let's say, one of the fundamental imperatives. So the other thing I wanted to say here is that actually when they were talking, I wanted to ask you that Mandamano has achieved a lot, including this freedom of speech we are having right here. Even Peter is enjoying it, Mheshimiwa is also enjoying it, so let's also give credit where credit due. So my main point, if I can tell you, Linda, the opponent is not it does not always allow the ruling government to succeed. In fact, if they are telling Raila to allow them to succeed, that is not the goal of an opponent. The opponent is to make it as hard as possible. Then by him saying that Raila Odinga is riding on coastal living, is that not what politics is all about? A politician, before you run for any seat, you do research to find what are the issues of people. Then after doing this, these people is land issue. These guys are talking about the issue of coastal living. Then you become like an advocate, pretending that for you, your life depends on what they want. Then they elect you. So Raila is doing what is politically correct. And what needs to be used is that disarm Raila by solving those people's issue. Remember how Uhuru issued title deed in Coast Province when Raila was on his neck, and he got more than 100,000 votes in Mombasa, Kilifi. He got some votes because he went to start giving title deeds. Disarm Raila by solving people's issue. If you do that, you completely disarm him. Well, and Raila cannot manage to, my last point is, William Ruto has to know that if you cannot manage Raila on the street, like he's going on the street on Monday with the people, if you know that handshake is a bad idea, let him tell us which is this silver bullet. Which is the silver bullet? Because look here, Moi was not as educated as Ruto. Kibaki, well educated, but of course Ruto says he has a PhD. Uhuru
what
says...
do you mean says? Okay, yes.
No, I'm saying he has a PhD.
Okay.
He's a PhD holder.
Yes.
So I'm saying if you compare with levels of education, then he's more educated than Kibaki. He's more educated than Uhuru for sure, isn't it? Now, we want something more intelligent to a PhD holder president. If we have always gone to the streets to solve our issues, how can we solve them peacefully in the boardroom? Can we wait for them? And no, if handshake is a bad idea, which one for you is the great idea? Because me, I'm not head of state, but I'm asking, what is the issue? For me, I'm telling you, let these people just have a meeting, because look at what Kofi Annan did. And Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 16 says there's nothing new under the sun. What Kofi Annan did, told them, guys, I don't want to know what is going to agree later. Handshake first. Kibaki and Raila handshake in the fruit of Arambe House with no deal signed, with nothing written, just handshake. And me, I'm telling the president, since you are elected, we are now almost hitting 7 months. You have never been seen in public with your opponent. It's something that even Uhuru, immediately they were elected in 2013, Uhuru and Ruto, Kalonzo and Raila went to State House to have coffee. There was no handshake. But that made people realize, oh, so our leaders are talking. There must be a way, and I can tell you, magic. And if somebody can listen to me tell the president, if you just call Raila now, with Martha Karua and Kalonzo and those people, and bring some other people like religious leaders and some people who are witnesses and ask Raila, what do you want? You may find Raila has nothing really.
So does that bring, does that change the cost of living? Does that change the cost of living? Does it help from there?
Linda, from there,
yes,
opposition will discover.
Linda, I think you're not being fair.
From that point of view, the opposition will discover that there is so much noise people can make until you come to the table to negotiate and discover actually what I look. If you had cost of living, this is the strategy.
It's okay, Professor.
Or ask Raila, what do you want me to do about cost?
So does that change the cost of living and the grievances?
Yes,
Peter.
Solutions.
I've told you, I've denied my advice.
Yes, Peter.
You see, the professor is talking about Kalonzo and Kahoot going to State House and having coffee. And that is how we got into a 10 trillion shillings debt. Having coffee does not solve the problems of Kenya.
That's my question.
I mean, the suggestion that sitting with Raila Odinga and a few religious leaders is going to solve the problem of this republic, it is actually an insult to the very system that we have put, democratic system, because we cannot talk about the freedom of speech that we enjoy apparently from Maandamano and fail to talk about the very democracy we have given ourselves. And it is the democracy that we gave ourselves as Kenyans that has put the current regime in power. And you see, I would only sit with you, Rinda, and discuss about the republic if, first of all, I recognize that Keruga Thuku is an elected MCA, bona fide in the county assembly of Nyeri.
Yes.
Once we recognize that, we can now address him as the member of County Assembly for Chinga Ward. And as William Ruto, why would I want to call number one someone to come and sit on a table with me who does not recognize that I'm legitimately elected as the president of the republic? Because that is where we are parting ways. If there has to be a discussion, because I will not sit here and be a person who is advocating for people not to talk, because dialogues are very important. Last week we had the People's Dialogue here in our stadium. People talk because if you don't talk, you cannot move. But if we are coming to the table, we must come to the table in recognition of the fact that cannot be disputed by law in this country. The facts are that the Honorable William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua and his cabinet are legitimately holding office. And the fact that you recognize that can be the basis of us sitting and looking at the way to move this country forward. But I will not tell William Ruto to even think of sitting down with the people who, first of all, do not recognize that he is legitimately elected into office as the president. And I think that is where the point is, Rinda. If these people accept that William Ruto is legitimately in power, then I think we can have a ground on where we can sit and say, look, 2022 we gave you power. You promised to lower the cost of living. We do not feel it, we do not see it. How do you move about this?
But then what is the silver bullet, as Professor would ask? Because you also agree that much as well, this is a stronghold of the Right Honourable Raila Odinga. What happened in Kisumu is not beautiful. So imagine that Ezra Siloba has to be whisked out for purposes of being protected just because.
And that is why, Rinda, when we are saying that Monday these people are not coming to protest on the high cost of living, they want to come and cause havoc in this city, we mean exactly that.
So it's not the handshake, so how do we take them?
You see, the problem here is, it is the dishonesty that is with the opposition. I will tell you. Tomorrow, yesterday at Kisumu, was it really honorable for people who are purporting to have a peaceful demonstration to enter into a public event, eat all their foods, because that is what happened. I'm not the one who is reporting. That is what was reported on the media. And we saw it, eat people's disrupt a government event that was not on the street, because it was not being held in the street. It was being held in a certain installation. And you are saying you want to go to the street. So what we are saying is, we have already seen the sneak preview of what is supposed to happen on Monday in Kisumu.
Yeah.
And this is what I will say, like Ahmed Abdi Nasir has said. Let Raila and anybody who thinks that he will use the name of peaceful protest to come and destabilize Nairobi, let him make a date with the Waterloos. In fact, we have bought those things and they have not been used for a very long time. So anybody that is thinking that he is going to take advantage of so-called, in quotes, peaceful protest to disrupt Nairobi, I would urge the Kenya police to meet them with the full force of law, because the silver bullet that Professor is talking about, there are people like Raila Odinga and those people who are calling mass protests that are not based on anything genuine. You can only deal with them with the full force of the law, because it is the law that says, yes, the Honorable Raila Odinga and company have a right to protest, but their right goes as far as where my right begins. So their right to protest is protected by law.
Yeah.
My right to operate a business in the Central Business District in Nairobi is also protected by law. And therefore, your right must not infringe on my right to do business. And that is where the Kenya police and the security apparatus come in. They must take charge. Allow the people who want to do peaceful protest, do their protest, but also deal with the culprits who are preparing to invade people's business in Nairobi. Because the people who are doing business, their rights are also protected in the Constitution.
Still on the same matter, but with a slight shift, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
Professor here says that Raila is politically correct to do whatever it is that he's doing. I want us to speak to what it is that the president appears to do. And this aspect of calling, people from the other side to work together with government, and some of them actually softening their hearts towards working with government, and in a way sort of trying to discern the opposition in his own wise way, what he would term wise. Why would it be that some of them, Professor himself here, would assume that this is not politically correct? Because, like I started by saying, it's in the best interest of any sitting president to see most of the people speak his tone, because that way then, he's able to manage the activities of the nation in the best way he knows how. So why does it appear like the president is not politically correct, or is not doing the right thing when he gets to a space where he is consolidating power? When he gets to a space where whatever it is that they do with Matiang'i, then later on we hear it was, for purposes of making sure that the Kisii community as well aligns itself to what it is that the government is doing, that, you find some of these people that they decide to defect to start working with president and all this.
Linda, when we say, or when we talk of political correctness, I wonder, political correctness according to who? Because one thing that we keep emphasizing here, that I will keep emphasizing on this, is about the rule of law. It's about the constitutionalism, right? You see, the way this country is governed is very well stipulated in our constitution and in our rules. Therefore, when Kenyans go out and elect a government, they elect a government, and the constitution defines what that government should do, or how it should govern Kenyans. And you see, Kenyans need food. Kenyans need proper health care. Kenyans need their children educated. And I think, and the credit of the government, we have seen it grappling with these issues. Therefore, there are those people who are elected on the so-called opposition party ticket. And they find themselves, Linda, at a juncture whereby they have to choose between these chaos, anarchy, which are being fronted as mass action, peaceful mass action, but which we all know there is nothing peaceful about, and supporting their people. And that is where you find people like Governor Natembeya. people like Deputy Governor Ayub Savula, and many other people who have been elected on the opposition ticket. They have said, no, we cannot follow this route of anarchy, chaos, threats, impunity. We want to join the government so that we offer services that we were elected to offer to our people. Therefore, what we are saying, Linda, His Excellency President William Ruto and the current government have an appointment with the destiny in changing the way things have been happening in this country, whereby we give in to threats, intimidation, impunity. It's a high time this government stood firm and implemented the constitutionalism in our republic. You know, you are saying, why can't people, and Professor is also saying this, because I don't know to State House or where. Now, Linda, tell me, how do you deal with people who say you are not the legitimate president? We don't have a legitimate government. You see, they want to go and cause chaos in the streets. If you want to meet the president as the Professor says here, is the route to State House chaos in the streets? And what we are saying is this: it's a high time a firm message is communicated to politicians, to all and sundry, that we are all under the rule of law. If you want an appointment with the president, you know where to go. If Raila Odinga today wants to meet President William Ruto, he knows what to do. He knows whom to call. I'm telling you, Linda, if today Raila Odinga and Mother Karua genuinely wanted to meet President William Ruto, or his deputy, or anyone in this government, they know how they would peacefully do it. But now what they are attempting to do, and I want to repeat this, Linda, there is nothing about the prices of food commodities in their agenda. Their agenda is to cause disruption on how the government is offering its services, right?
All right.
They want to cause chaos. The government does not work. Then they come back and tell Kenyans, you see, this government cannot work.
Let's ignore them for a moment. Let's ignore them for a moment and say that the papers this morning speak of pain in pocket and dollar wars hit households. Fine, it could be a global menace,
Yes.
but just what is the government doing to create a balance on this? And also, at what point will the government stop whining and deliver?
I don't think the government is whining. The government
not?
very keen. The government is very keen on delivering, and because I'm a people's representative, Linda, I can tell you, and we have been in these consultations. For example, you've heard the government wants to restructure the NHIF.
And we've heard what the government needs or wants to do. But we've also heard you, Mheshimiwa, reminding us of, how we have inherited a difficult government. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
We cannot run away from. But when you say that, is that not whining?
Inherited, but, inherited, dilapidated
The
that was caused by the same Raila.
Is that not whining?
No, it is not. We are stating facts.
Briefly, Professor.
First of all, let me respond to Peter, who talked about the issue of, you asked me a question at the end, but I didn't answer, then Peter talked. On what will this coming together of leaders talking help people survive? Linda, the cost of peace. You know, when peaceful environment exists, and going to the same point, they're talking about dilapidated economy. Economics is very emotional. When you say we have a dilapidated economy, and you're telling investors to come and invest in Kenya, you're telling people, take Hustler Fund and invest in a business in a dilapidated economy. You're telling people we are running short of dollars openly. Linda, even me, if my wife tells me they need a shopping, I want to go to the press and tell people that I don't have money. I tell her, sweetheart, we shall do shopping on Saturday. Not that I won't tell her I don't have money now. I have hope between now and Saturday I'll get money, but I won't tell her I don't have money. Just tell her that I think because of commitment, let's do the shopping on Saturday. Give hope in a family. You can always not spew out austerities to around. By them talking about austerity measures, people don't see stimulus in the economy. Economy is very emotional. And I'm trying to say that you can win this global, local, domestic politics by talking against the economy, former administration. You score domestically. But internationally, you lose. That's why foreign direct investment is going more to Tanzania. I wish that we can actually be seeing live figures. There is more foreign direct investment flowing into Tanzania and Uganda, and that's why the dollar has stabilized against the shilling there. That's the fact. You can say whatever you want, but we have less foreign direct investments coming. The CS, Professor Ndungu has said it clearly that the government has postponed 19 projects because of foreign investors are still holding money, doing wait and see. This is a CS treasury. We are not talking about our own statistics. Kenya National Bureau of Statistics are also giving the similar statistics. These are government entities. Those are facts. So the price of peace, I'll pay any price. In fact, for me, even if I'm, let's say, I can disagree with people when they want to attack me for some reason, please, for the sake of peace, I can pay you. I know you are not right, but for the sake of peace. So peace must coexist first before we can talk about something else.
At the expense of very important
so I'm saying,
as well.
Calling these people, you discover they have really nothing to say. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Because there's some noise you can make on the street. Do you know how Kibaki dealt with Raila? Kibaki met with Raila many times. They used to be live, isn't it? Kibaki sits there, Raila comes. Raila talks, he says these things. Like, remember, I can give one incident. Raila proposed that the cabinet slots were supposed to move from because Kibaki, we had the Grand Coalition government that almost had 44 cabinets, isn't it? Each with assistant. Blotted cabinet, remember that thing? Raila proposed to have 22, isn't it? Then Kibaki asked him, so if we are taking 22, how many do you want? Isn't it? That's a silly question, but very intelligent question. Raila agreed to 44. You understand? So you can call this and say, you want to open the server. Where are these servers? Isn't it? If I suspect, Linda, that you have 20,000 shillings of money in your pocket, and you believe there's no money in your pocket, open that pocket. So these things are very easy to deal with because politicians will trivialize this issue of server. What is a server? Can a server be opened with a screwdriver or a spanner? What does it mean opening the server? Let's have this discussion, isn't it? And that will help. The other thing is power.
Let's pick that one. Let's pick that one after this short break.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. This is Dr. Frank tonight. And of course, on to our first guest of the night. An amazing actress, an award-winning actress, one of the top influencers right now, a top brand ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, and a lady who I respected, of course. I'm proud to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, just listening. Are you ready for something there?
Yes.
You ready, yeah?
Yes.
Give me something, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kate Kamau, a.k.a. Kate, actress. Oh, this, how much material
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I'm a lot.
Does it even like, is it like normal time to wear like 10 minutes?
Asha.
Ama like lazima uipangie.
Hii lazima shida ni kwenda kwa choo hiyo tu. Yeah.
But they come to think of it, madam new and madam of a jumpsuit. How do you guys go to the washroom? How do you guys deal with that
That's
whole
why
thing?
we go in pairs to the bathroom.
No, men, you'll never find men going to the washroom in pairs. Ati wewe Richie ni aje. Nasikia kusojo, hebu tuishie. I think ladies are so privileged. You guys can even call each other boom, babe, sweetheart. Imagine now me, I'm now calling Richie. Richie babe, ni aje. Unakamjobosa ngapi na saxophone.
But we are okay with that.
Never.
Yeah.
Kate, welcome on the show. You are our first guest ever. Piga makofi. Tuko na interior design round hii.
Hii ni Wajakoya ama?
Check, relax. Usiseme na nguvu we. Nakada wana watch, nakada.
Ni sponsored.
Let me ask, have you ever tried?
No, what is that?
Eh?
No.
Haujawahi? Under by mistake.
But now I know it because of Wajakoya.
Oh really? So hujaipita kwa campaign ya Wajakoya by mistake ukaisikia? Have you ever tried drugs at any point?
Which one?
You're a clean,
I'm a role model.
Role model. Sawa kwa me. Listen, do we have enough role models in the industry anymore? Or because I've seen these days people do their own things. they mess up on social media, then they come and say, listen, I was not born to be a role model. I'm living my own life. Do you think that is the correct way to handle it?
And I think what Akothe says, I did not choose to be a role model. It's my career that inspired you to give me that title. So you cannot give me the pressure to become a role model. That's how you feel.
So
that's how you interpret my brand. But I have to live my life. I'm not telling you to live the way I live. You understand? But I know I have a responsibility as a public figure to act in a certain way.
In a certain way.
But in the same breath, I have to live my life truthfully, being me. If it inspires you, yes.
Well and fine.
If it doesn't, good. Yes.
Let me ask, which is like the most weirdest story you've ever heard about you? Ile mpaka uko like guy. Todie.
Like I'm very mean, I'm a snob. I think I'm too friendly actually.
These guys are saying that his power, we shall meet them with the full force of power.
Of the rule.
Rule of law, all those things, isn't
Yes.
it? Let me tell you what, this power has a double-edged sword. When you use it, you lose it. If I have power to insult you, Linda, immediately I insult you, I have no power to insult you anymore. If I am your boss, I have powers to sack you. After I sack you, I can't have powers to sack you anymore. Then the other thing about power, there are some powers you may think you have, but you don't have them. So these powers they think they have, they may not actually be having them. Because let me tell you what, as it stands now, Ruto is the head of state, isn't it? He rules State House.
Not State House, Kenya.
Raila rules the street. Those are
Does he?
No,
we cannot start have.
And let me take it away from you.
No. Please let me finish. I'm just, if you allow me.
You are advocating the rule of
we still want to advance this
So
conversation.
power,
no
when you use power, you lose it. That's why when you misuse power, normally your rights are taken away from you, isn't it?
Those are paradoxical arguments.
So the other thing for me,
yes.
For me, what I would like to think, what should be happening that you have talked about in your reading there that Ruto has been taking Raila's allies and disarming the opposition. Actually, by disarming the opposition, he's arming Raila. Why am I saying so? These leaders in these regions who are elected on other party tickets, who left how they campaigned against Ruto, insulting him, and now they are with Ruto, their people are feeling disconnected from them. And that's why you saw Raila going to People's Baraza. Before Raila went for mass action, he went to so many places to test ground, to see whether he has these people. Now that he realizes that these people are with him, and maybe not with their leaders, and that's why I'm saying, I'm calling for mass action. He did need the permission of the leaders who left him to call for mass action. And I'm trying to say, sometimes by disarming somebody, actually you arm them. And by putting this opposition in a corridor, it's like cornering a cat. When you corner a cat, the cat will bite you.
Okay. We are closing on this one completely. But I will perhaps want to loop his statement with what Professor Macharia Manene told me yesterday, seated where it is that you are. And he says it's quite unfortunate, but it's a reality today that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is immune in a way.
I think it is a perception that
is going to be undone by this government.
Let me tell you. Raila has dealt with Moi, who was in his wee hours of his presidency of 24 years, and Moi wanted to exit with some dignity. Raila dealt with Moi Kibaki, who in his element has never been a combative politician throughout his political life. And Kibaki was battling with trying to recapture the economy, because you remember the 2007 left the economy of this country down from a double digit to a single digit. And therefore Kibaki wanted to build a legacy of himself. Raila Odinga dealt with Uhuru Kenyatta of the first term, who could not hear anything about Raila Odinga. Here is Uhuru Kenyatta, who is in his second term, and he's about to try and make his legacy. And in his own wisdom, he thought that working with Raila would give him the tranquility and the purported peace to be able to do that. But here you have a William Ruto who is in the early morning of his presidency. He is going to make a name. He is one politician who have been made a villain throughout the campaign season for the last 4 or 5 years. He wants to cut a place for himself in the Republic of Kenya. Why would he want to sit with Raila Odinga, who is doing over some, I mean, it is funny, you want to do something over and over and over, and you now think that you will also do the same thing with the government of William Ruto. I think one of the defining moment of William Ruto and his government, it is one of the ways he is going to deal with Raila Odinga. And I have always told you, and I will still say, any government code of national unity or a handshake, it is not for the interest of Wanjiku. It has always been in the interest of the gluttonous politicians who want to make something out of the so-called handshakes and what. Because let me ask you, you have not heard that there is a civil war in this country. You have not heard that government does not have space to work. You have not heard that the economy of this country has been closed down. It may be going through, because it is crazy to actually think that when you know, for the last 3 or 4 years, the Kenya shillings has sinks against the dollar to about 25%. And when William Ruto came, we were already performing poorly than we were already performing poorer than we were like 3 or 4 years ago. And for you to come and think that and you know, I don't understand what is this with the professor, that when the president says that we do not have the dollar reserve, our Kenyan shillings or our economy is not doing as good as it should. You want him to come and tell you it is good. I mean, trying to compare a family setup with the learning of government, it is, I mean, the two exist on a different environment, totally different environment, because I have promised that, you know, trying to praise Mama Vanessa, who is my wife, it is my canon responsibility, and it is a very private issue between me and Mama Vanessa. It will only become public when I mean, again, I coexist in my world. I mean,
so Mama Vanessa
we
is
already
good enough.
know that the professor wants the sweet nothings. He tells his wife to be what William Ruto is telling the public. It cannot be so. Rinda. One of the things we must do as a nation, we must be able to tell the people the economy is not doing well. Please brace yourself. There is going to be turbulence. There is going to be this. Well, what I have always said, and you know me, I am very factual, is that the onus are on the government of William Ruto to do what is it that they promised the people of Kenya who went to the poll and elected them. That honor is theirs, and you will not take it from it. In 5 years, the people of Kenya will have a day with destiny to actually judge what the government of Kenya Kwanza, led by William Ruto, has done for 5 years. So they cannot run away or abscond responsibility of duty to deliver to Kenyans. But what we are saying is, we must also deal with people who want to come into the space where the government is supposed to operate and operate against the law. Nobody, and I keep insisting, nobody will stop peaceful protests. But peaceful protest must not be turned into attack of people's business in Nyamakema or wherever and all those things. And what we are saying is, this is what has been done for the last almost 25 years, from 1997. The Honorable Raila Odinga has never gone to the street based on the issues that have to do with Kenyans. It has always to start with the fact that he lost an election. He has lost 5 elections. He has never accepted any one of them. He is addressing the government of the day as being illegitimately not in power. You stand on the pulpits and you stand on stages and you talk about how you are going to go to the street, how you are going to encourage what is called civil disobedience. You are telling people to act against the very laws we have given ourselves. Your argument that the government of the day is not legally in power is not based on any set of law in this republic. And you know, we cannot sit here and tell William Ruto to be cowardice, apparently in the guise that if you use power, you lose it. You will not lose it. Dealing with civil disobedient people who want to deal with people's business and vandalize them, and using the law and the penal codes that provides the police with the authority and power to deal with such criminals, because anybody vandalizing your business, Linda, in Nairobi, must not be treated as a protester anymore. He must be treated as a criminal. And a criminal in this republic exists a penal code that gives the guidelines of dealing with such criminals. So therefore, if there are people on Monday who want to vandalize people's business, I am calling on the IG and the police to deal with them as criminals. But if people are protesting in Nairobi, we will adjust accordingly, because of course protest will bring traffic snare-ups and what, allow them to protest because it is within their right, but also take measures to protect people's business in Nairobi. Anybody who dares come near people's business, he must be dealt with as a criminal.
And I hate to speak of this, that is being written by a person online, but here we are. You know, it's about the mountain.
Yes.
And how there's that general feeling that they have been disenfranchised. I don't know whether you would agree to that. And I speak to you, gentlemen, because you hail from the mountain. One of them says, I might not be a prophet, but the wild behavior of President William Ruto is going to force the likes of President Uhuru Kenyatta into active politics back again. The mountain too is asking, tulichezwa manini, I don't understand, but the reality of tribe.
Tulichezwa kivipi?
Mko sawa.
No, mambo ni, you know, the thing is this. All of us, Linda, accept there are challenges in our country. But the kind of solutions being offered by the opposition is not how we can tackle these challenges. You know, yes, that's true. That's true. You know, Linda, if your TV, if your TV is showing something you don't like, is the solution? Do you solve the problem by breaking down your TV? No, you'll be you'll be having a mental problem. We are saying, if there is a lot in the granary, do you solve the problem by burning down the granary? No. What we are saying is, we are all Kenyans, right? We have a duty to obey the laws that we have given unto ourselves as Kenyans. We cannot destroy our country just because we have not gotten power. We have been defeated in elections and we want to destroy this country. And we are saying this, you know, from the president, to the deputy president, to the prime cabinet secretary, to the Speaker of the National Assembly, to the Speaker of the Senate, everyone who have worked with the opposition leaders is agreeing what is being touted as peaceful mass action is nothing, there is nothing peaceful about it. It will turn out into destroying people's properties, into looting spree, disrupting the economy, and that is why we are saying, for the first time in our history, Linda, someone has to tame this lawlessness. It has to be tamed. We have to look people in the eye and tell them, yes, you may have genuine grievances. Use the means provided in our rules to address your grievances.
Fair enough, Mheshimiwa. And we're reminded.
And I wanted to say this, kind of, if you allow me.
30 seconds.
Yes, please. You know, these things are taking all our time, and we need to be discussing.
And you know, I'm almost asking myself, what was this? You know,
you mentioned
roughly what I was supposed to shift gears, but here we are.
You mentioned about how the MPs have gotten an additional money for NCDF.
Yes.
I support that because this is not money that is going to MPs' pockets. any money that goes to our people is, that's very welcome. And I want to congratulate our chair. I told you I represent our county in the County Assembly's Forum, where our chair is the Speaker Marakwet, Honorable Sabrey, and our SG is Honorable Chege here, MCA Gara here. And we are not abandoning our quest, because we are talking about the problems bedeviling our people. So we want devolution not just to be in theory. We want devolution of resources to our wards, and that's why I keep repeating in every show here, we need the Ward Development Fund, and as a body, because I'm in the governing council of the County Assembly's Forum, we will keep insisting this ward fund must also, like NGCDF, entrenched in our laws, because this is even how, Linda, we will come closer to the 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. Let's devolve resources to our wards. And I keep saying,
as we
yes, our governor, His Excellency Mutahi Kahiga, provides a kitty akin to the Ward Development Fund that we want entrenched in law.
And
what we have seen is great development in the areas under Nyeri County.
So why is it that the other counties do not then choose to?
No, that is why we want. We don't want
to be at the mercy of the governor.
We don't want it done in isolation. We want these funds, and we are lobbying our government. We are lobbying our MPs. We are lobbying our senators. We want this entrenched in law.
Fair enough.
So that these resources are guaranteed.
Make it brief so that we come to
I think what
Professor to close
Keruga
it.
is saying, the Ward Development Fund must be enshrined in law, because when you have rogue governors like we have in Kiambu, there will be no development. And there is something else I hope the Ward Development Fund, the County Assembly Forum will do. I'm of the opinion that one way of making our county assemblies responsible in terms of, oversight, it is to amend the Public Finance Management Act that allows the controller of budget to send the money that has been set aside for county assembly directly to the clerk, who is the accounting officer. Today, Linda, the county assembly money in counties is going to what is called the majorly by the chief officer or the CC finance of that county. So if the governor wants to actually turn the MCAs into one direction, all they are doing is telling their chief accountants to hold the money. You hear a county assembly like Kiambu is going for 2 months without pay because the chief officer, who is a member of the executive, is the one who must authorize the money to leave the consolidated fund to go to the county assembly. And that then makes the county assembly an extension of the executive. And therefore, if we want them to do oversight, we must make sure that the money that has been budgeted for the county assembly leaves the exchequer indirectly to the county assemblies. And that can only happen if we amend the PFM Act and allow them get their salary in time, get their money to do oversight in time, and that way we will make our county assemblies very independent and we can demand answers from them. Today, Linda, we cannot really crucify the county assemblies, which are at the mercies of the governors, to get money. We must ensure, just like parliament, the county assemblies are getting money directly from the exchequer, and they do not need to go and beg the governor or be told you must vote this, you must go this, to be able to help our people. So I agree with him that we need to enshrine these things in law, that they are not at the mercies of any particular individual. They are a product of our laws, that regardless of who is the governor or who is the MCA, if there is a ward fund that is supposed to benefit my ward there, it is there and it will come. The governor has no power over it. It will come because it is enshrined. Today, even the MP who does not support Kenya Kwanza Rinda will get his money for bursaries, because this is the law. And it says Kimilili MP or Limuru MP must get its share. That's what we are saying with if we want to actually see the real fruits of devolution in our republic.
Fair enough. Professor, as we come to our close, 2023-2024 budget shaping up?
Yeah. So first of all, let me state that I think that this is the time when Mheshimiwa we come to say the same thing. I'll share with you the bill. The Operation Tuesday Bill 2022 proposes embedding the ward fund into the constitution, so that MCA do not have to sing the same song with the governor to develop their wards, to make them relevant and also to make them accountable. I've had them making promises they are unable to execute because their promises depend on the third party. So if you want, we can work together, but it's at your choice. The second thing that...
It's going to be a second thing, Professor.
Yeah.
Then we'll take a quick short break.
Yeah, I'm finished. The second thing is...
I'll give you less than a minute. Or we go for a break and then come back.
Okay.
We would rather go for a break and come back because knowing you, maybe 30 seconds cannot be enough.
No.
Okay, after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. This is Dr. Frank tonight. And of course, on to our first guest of the night. An amazing actress, an award-winning actress, one of the top influencers right now, a top brand ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, and a lady who I respected, of course. I'm proud to call her my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, just listening. Are you ready for something there?
Yes.
You ready, yeah?
Yes.
Give me something, yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kate Kamau, a.k.a. Kate, actress. How much material
It's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I'm a lot.
Does it even like, is it like normal time to wear like 10 minutes?
Asha.
Ama like lazima uipangie.
Hii lazima shida ni kwenda kwa choo hiyo tu. Yeah.
But they come to think of it, madam of a jumpsuit. How do you guys go to the washroom? How do you guys deal with that whole thing?
That's why we go in pairs to the bathroom.
No, men, you'll never find men going to the washroom in pairs. And where Richie niaje. Nasikia kusojo, hebu do you see? I think ladies are so privileged. You guys can even call each other boom, babe, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Imagine now I'm now calling Richie. Richie babe, niaje. Unakamjobosa ngapi na saxophone.
But we are okay with that.
Never.
Yeah.
Kate, welcome on the show. You are our first guest ever. Peter McCoffrey. Tuko na interior design round hii.
Nini wajakoya ama?
Check, relax. Usiseme na nguvu we. Nakada wana watch, nakada.
Ni sponsored.
Let me ask, have you ever tried?
No, what is that?
Eh?
No.
Haujawahi? Under by mistake.
But now I know it because of Wajakoya.
Oh really? So hujaipita kwa campaign ya Wajakoya by mistake ukaisikia? Have you ever tried drugs at any point?
Which one?
You're a clean,
I'm a role model.
Role model. Sawa kwa me. Listen, do we have enough role models in the industry anymore? Or because I've seen these days people do their own things, they mess up on social media, then they come and say, listen, I was not born to be a role model. I'm living my own life. Do you think that is the correct way to handle it?
And I think what Akothe says, I did not choose to be a role model. It's my career that inspired you to give me that title. So you cannot give me the pressure to become a role model. That's how you feel. So that's how you interpret my brand. But I have to live my life. I'm not telling you to live the way I live. You understand? But I know I have a responsibility as a public figure to act in a certain way.
In a certain way.
But in the same breath, I have to live my life truthfully, being me. If it inspires you, yes.
Well and fine.
If it doesn't, good. Yes.
Let me ask.
A TikToker from my area called Bote Jogu brought up the issue of Nyeri refusing to grow. Even when franchises start coming, you can invite our TikToker from Limuru who has put Nyeri on the map in terms of growth to come and appear.
But our growth cannot be determined by bringing KFC, which
no.
fast food.
Not necessarily.
We won't remain what we are doing.
What is Nyeri that we're talking about?
Yes.
Then you know. Let me tell you, hate fast food or like them. They represent the vibrantness of young people in any place where they are.
And
That's the truth.
They speak to the vibrancy of an economy.
in that town. That's
Of an
the
economy. I agree.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. And therefore, we want Nyeri youth to be vibrant.
Yeah.
And we would encourage the governor, because agriculture and trade are some of the things that the county is charged with. Talk to franchise people to come to Nyeri. Let me tell you, they will bring new business, they will bring new shillings, and they will bring vibrancy in your town.
And we want to see...
Because I have...
Linda, I would prefer we promote local enterprises like Demka.
So many years ago,
we manufacture.
So many years ago,
Linda,
some of the best places you would live in this country were found in Nyeri.
Right.
The white rhinos of today.
Yes.
I mean, it's one country that you will always breathe air that is not dry. So it is only fair if we introduce things that would actually encourage some of us to be visiting Nyeri more often. Trade and tourism is a responsibility of the county government. Those franchises present a very new avenues of bringing new trade and tourism into that county.
Rida, you know, Mushendo here is talking as if Limuru he's talking as if they have...
Limuru is his home area.
Yeah, and if you just donkeys... No, wait. You just fight donkeys in Limuru, so let him...
No. Speaking of which, let's come to you, Professor.
Next time I'll bring Grace's yogurt, which is manufactured in
which is a good thing.
If you go online and get the best trip advisors on tourism, you will find that some of the top places you can be cannot be found elsewhere. Other than Nairobi, they are in Limuru.
Let us not turn this to... let us not mistake it for a Mchongo and no moment.
I must remind him that the first seedling, tea seedling to be grown in this republic was planted in Limuru.
Let us not turn this to a Mchongo. You know, these are things that need to be addressed. And Professor, I was reading something in the morning.
A lot of time.
No. Let me remind you that I'm reading something online that tells us, Central wanapelekewa Thanksgiving kwa wingi, na development inapelekwa kona ingine. Let it not land to that point. And also, a reminder that now that we're talking about Nyeri and the governor, that Ruto nominates Gachagwa's, and I don't want to say Gachagwa's in-law.
But we shall pray.
His governor,
former governor.
The Governor Mutahi Kahiga is one of the top TikTokers in the Republic. And it's a fact. Let's
talk about the appointment of Karungaru, who is the widow of former governor of Nyeri, Nderitu Gachagua, equally yesterday. That was declared by the Speaker of the National Assembly, perhaps to appreciate that we're also having other ladies being appreciated. And I mean, the question of appointments by the president is one that's a Pandora's box if we are to open and discuss this morning. But let's close on this and come back to...
We allow the professor...
Professor, execute your case. Yes, Professor.
On appointment, unfortunately, if you look at the president's mental schema, he seems not to see institutions, he seems to see individuals. Like in Parliament, I have Moses Wetangula. In Judiciary, I have this one. In Treasury, I have that one. I'm thinking, Linda, that we need to move away from personalities and go more for meritocracy and actually make institutions and functions of government work. And when you strengthen them, then there is no need of trying to put someone whom you think is reading with the same script with you. But at the moment, the president has to balance the political and the economics, because Kibaki was a very good economist, but he was a very poor politician. That's why, with doing very well in the first term, he nearly lost the second term, if not that he lost. So stories for another day. On the budget thing, what we have seen are the areas where the wage bill have gone up. We are seeing these austerity measures that the president put in place that his office needs to lead. So there's more allocation going to his office than before. Somebody has even showed some way that he has, like within one day, he changes chairs in State House where he's seated. There are many things going on there. Gachagwa's office allocation has gone up. Creation of offices we don't need, which have been factored in the budget, for example, the prime CS, prime minister, I don't know what. I'm thinking that those are not priorities at the moment. We wanted a budget that prioritizes on how to lower the cost of living and how to make Mwananchi access healthcare, be able to access, let's say, education, be able to access food. Because, Linda, there's a difference between economic growth and development. When you collect more revenue, which we have been told they have a higher revenue target, that's why they did a lot of changes in KRA, looking for taxes that who are not being paid, all these things. What we are asking for, what is Mwananchi getting? are you using this money to do other things, or you are taking this money to make Mwananchi's life better? Because economic development is how do you make people access goods of life in affordable way, education, healthcare. So transition from primary school to secondary school, that's what we're looking for. What's the average years of being in school for Kenya? How many beds are you making available, high dependency unit beds, general wards, ICU? How are you preparing the healthcare system for in case there's any endemic, it has not become a pandemic? People are still dying of diarrhea in this age and time, and we are not supposed to do that. So prioritization of the budget is where you can question this to work. And then I'm sure you're telling me to make my closing remarks. This is my closing remark.
How about we go to him for his closing remark and then we come to you?
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
So we at least we balance this. Yes.
So I think my closing remark would be that it is the responsibility of government to steer this nation in the right direction. And I think we are headed in that direction. And therefore, I would also ask the government to deal with anybody who is acting outside the constitutionalism and the laws of this country and deal with them with the full force of law. I know the professor does not want to hear that word, but unfortunately, these are the rules we have given to ourselves. If we want to demonstrate, please demonstrate cognizant to the fact that your right ends where my light begins. And that is what we must say, that those who want to demonstrate must demonstrate, and they must be given the space to do that. But those who think they will use those mass protests to invade people's business must be treated as criminals because they will be searched. By invading somebody's business, it means that you are actually infringing on that person's right to do business and to do it in a peaceful, coexisting environment. So I would want to urge Kenyans that this called March 20th protest, it is happening on the days your kids are returning back to school. Raila Odinga does not have a kid going to school. Mother Karua does not have kids currently going to school. And if they are going to the high-end schools. Grandchildren. And grandchildren, they must be going to the high-end school. Kalonzo Musyoka's son is working outside the Republic. Those MPs you're talking about are some of people who are taking their kids to school in the morning through airplanes. They are not talking in their meetings, they not talk about arriving, they talk about landing. These are the people who are telling you to go on 20th to the street to disrupt the day when your sons and daughters are supposed to report back to the school. Is it beneficial to you? Is it beneficial to your family? Is it beneficial to those around you? So if you're going to the protest, ask yourself what benefit will come out of it. Is it right to actually destabilize the lives of your sons and daughters who are currently on half-term, and they would be required to be reporting to school on that very day. And therefore, as Mheshimiwa had said, if there is a rat in a granite, you will not solve the problem by burning down the granite, because you will burn it down together with what it is holding. What you do is that you set a trap to catch it. So therefore, I do not believe that that protest is the solution to the so-called problems that said opposition which cannot recognize William Ruto as the president are talking about. I mean, we must deal with people living in denial in that capacity. Two capacities. One, we must offer them psychological help to actually accept reality that His Excellency the President is bona fide and legally in office. And number two, if they cannot accept reality, we will force it on them to accept reality through the apparatus of power that have been set to protect Kenyans who do not want to partake in that protest. Okay, let's just say this.
Make it a closing remark.
Yes, and I mean, let us not be so tough as well. We all understand what is enshrined in law, and therefore we also do not need to remind ourselves of that, so that we are not mistaken to be inciting or as well, throwing around threats.
No, there are no threats which are being thrown around. As the president said, the law requires, if you want to have a peaceful demonstration, you go and get in touch with the police. Because, and the police will tell you, if anything happens, if that demonstration, which you are calling peaceful, turns chaotic, people's property is destroyed, you'll bear the full responsibility for anything that happened. Loss of property, loss of life. You, who is the initiator of that protest, will bear responsibility. It is not about anyone being tough. It is the law. So, the president lightly observed and requested these opposition leaders pretending to hold peaceful mass demonstration, but which is, we know we have in this country, this is calling for chaos. He told them to go and assure the police and allege with the police about how the demonstration will be done, and the demonstration will be peaceful, and then they can continue. They can do their demonstration for the 5 years. Unfortunately, even as one side of the Maandamano says it is about peaceful demonstration, Martha Karua on the other hand says we are storming State House. They are not even talking the same language. Kalonzo Musyoka says, oh, I don't know, we are having peaceful what? But this is just empty rhetoric. At the end of the day, Linda, on Monday, and I want you to watch this, at the end of the day, someone will throw stones at the police. Someone will throw stones at people's...
Why are you prophesying doom?
It is not prophesying doom.
You see now that Linda, I will not allow as well. Because
Linda, I'm telling you.
Mheshimiwa, that I will not.
Look, it is not about you or
It's
me.
a constitutional right for
Linda,
them
to throw stones.
For them to go out
that is what they will do.
protest. And they have said they are not going to. They have called their supporters not to.
I'm here with you.
No, Mheshimiwa, that is
I'm here with you.
Yeah?
You will call me back.
Can we wait for that?
And I'll tell you, I told you.
It is not going to be for us to...
No, we know it.
It is not going for us.
You are denying the obvious.
No.
Yes.
You see, this
what is in your heart?
This is a sane space, yeah?
What is in your heart?
We hope.
Linda,
We hope the protest.
Can we leave it at that?
Yes.
Let's
hope
leave
the
it at that.
protest.
Mind and thoughts.
No.
Mheshimiwa,
You see, this is my space, and I'll not allow for you to
What Keruga is saying.
They will cost
Keruga, what you would the statement of
Mheshimiwa,
yesterday in Kisumu.
you see, Mheshimiwa,
something you're saying.
Mheshimiwa, we hope that the Monday, listen, we hope the Monday protest will be peaceful.
Yes.
But history has not told us otherwise.
Can we leave it at that?
Can we leave it at that? It is like hoping.
Professor. That is, and I don't want to push you to a space where we will say now you have to withdraw that, Mheshimiwa.
I cannot withdraw.
You are a leader and you're representing a constituent.
I'll come back here. I'll tell you. I told you.
Can we discuss that after it has happened or whatever happens?
Let's do closing remarks.
Yes.
I would like us to be leaders because you are not a leader when things are right. Leadership is seen when things are not really easy. In fact, that's my closing remark by saying that at this very difficult time Kenyans are going through, and it's not our fault. We voted, and we are not going to follow who won the election. That's not our business. Our business now, we want delivery. Because Kenyans waited when all that was happening. There was a peace immediately after the election. There was peace after the declaration by the Supreme Court, which means Kenyans waited the government to deliver. So this thing of saying we are in power, we shall respond with full force of authority, and the rest we have military, we have the police. Let me try to remind the president and his advisors that presidency is like a car. When immediately you are given a car in a car yard, brand new, when you drive out of it, it depreciates. If you are to put presidency in an asset book, you have to put depreciation on it. So he has to know now, like you hear the guys, for example, Mount Kenya, who voted for him. You saw, I had something in Nyandarua, I had something like Kipia, them also complaining. I saw something in Embu. So even those who voted for the president, you have to know you are not with them now. Because immediately you receive the sword, people are now seeing that all their problems are in your hand, unfortunately. Secondly, we need a lot of civic education. People expect the government to do too much for them, and some of the things the government needs to create for you are enabling environment, that you can go to school, you can afford healthcare, you can be able to buy food, and then the rest people have to know that there are some responsibilities that have to be for citizens and some are for governments. Rinda, I think that that's why Operation Dogatuzi is here, to do serious civic education. And my last call is this. I want to urge the president and William and the opposition leader, of course, Raila Odinga, please let us not walk this route. The outcome can almost be predicted. Anytime you go into war with anybody, Linda, after you settle for peace, you discover you didn't need to fight. Anytime you pick a quarrel with a friend, with a relative, with a wife partner, even if you think you are right that you have to quarrel, at the end you discover that you have not even said what you said. So what I'm asking them is that you are statesmen, because that's what you said. And then second, let me remind you of all your political manifesto. Azimio la Ugenya, One Kenya Alliance. That
Azimio
was
la Ugenya.
Azimio la Ugenya, because I love Ugenya. Okay. Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance.
Should follow the
Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance. It talked about uniting the whole country. That was Raila Odinga's platform. On the other side, we had Kenya Kwanza, put Kenyans first. And then United Democratic Alliance, uniting. You both worked on the platform of uniting the country. You cannot change your position after the election. So I urge you, for us, we don't know the solution, but all Kenyans who are powerless, who are voiceless, who do not even know what's going on, are looking up to you. As you watch on that street, look at them on the face and see whether this is something good for them. As the president, you sit in State House and say you have the power, you are the head of the state, also discover that with great power comes great responsibility. The fact that you are the head, you have to act like the head. Head of state means that you are the head of state. Raila is not. Raila is just one of your citizens. In fact, Raila, you even asked other country to take him through his passport. So yes, you come in and reign on it. And when you bring together, when you unite this country, you will be making your legacy. If you take us, if you allow us to go to the street, then actually you'll never be any different from other previous regime that have allowed people to go to the street.
No,
Mheshimiwa.
No, let me paraphrase the president that we must tell people and we must tell our friends who want to demonstrate, fine, let's follow the rule, and it's a high time we added the blackmail that have been happening in this country. We added impunity that has been happening in this country. All of us are free to engage in whatever we want to engage in, but we must follow the rule.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking to us. The last speaker, Honorable Kiruga Dhuku, the Member of County Assembly of Chinga Ward, all the way from Nyeri. Asante sana for speaking to us, as well as Professor Fred Ogola here. Professor is a governance and political expert. Thank you so much for your time. And governance expert Peter